If you're looking to buy a home, you already know that closing costs can feel like a total mystery. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the big ones, the home appraisal, specifically what it's really going to cost you in Hamilton, Ohio. So you've found the perfect house, you're picturing where the couch will go, and then the paperwork starts rolling in. And right there you see this line item, appraisal fee. It just feels so random. How much is it supposed to be? Is this number going to throw off your whole budget? Let's get that sorted out right now.
All right, let's just cut to the chase. For a typical single-family home in Hamilton, you should plan on budgeting around $625. Now, where does that number come from? It's based on the VA's standardized fee schedule for 2026, which is an awesome, super predictable baseline for us to use. But hang on, because that's not always the final price tag.
That 625 number, that's your benchmark. It's the starting point for most home sales. But what if you're not buying a standard single-family home? Well, the more complex the property, the more work for the appraiser, and yeah, you guessed it, the higher the cost.
Okay, let's break this down. As you can see, single-family homes and condos, they're on the same page, right at that $625 mark. A manufactured home, that bumps up a bit to about $675. That's because the appraiser has more to look at, like the foundation system. And then you've got your multi-unit properties, like a duplex or a fourplex. Those jump to around $775, and that's because there's a whole other layer of analysis involved.
So we've pretty much nailed down the cost. But let's be real, in any real estate deal, time is just as important as money. So once the appraiser's ordered, how long are you going to be waiting for that report to land on your lender's desk? 8 business days. That's the standard turnaround time in Ohio once the appraiser gets the green light. And honestly, having that predictability is huge. It means you, your agent, and your lender can all work together to set realistic deadlines and avoid those super stressful last-minute scrambles right before closing. It just keeps the whole process moving smoothly.
You know, it's really easy to look at that appraisal fee as just another expense you have to swallow. But I want you to think about it differently. It's not just a fee, it's an investment. You're actually buying protection and some serious peace of mind. So what exactly do you get for that money? First and foremost, you get an independent, totally unbiased opinion of what that house is actually worth. This is what protects you from overpaying. And here's a pro tip. When you get the report, flip right to the comparable sales section. That's the proof that the price is right for the neighborhood. Second, you get a detailed inspection of the property's condition. And third, you get that official, standardized report that your lender needs to sign off on your loan. It's basically the key that unlocks the final financing.
Hey, remember that higher fee for multi-unit properties we talked about? Well, here's a peek behind the curtain. The appraiser isn't just looking at the building itself. They're analyzing it like an investor would. They have to dig into what similar units are renting for, predict how often it might be vacant, and calculate the whole property's potential to make money. It's a much, much deeper dive.
Okay, theory is great, but let's make this really concrete. Let's walk through a real-world example. We'll imagine a veteran in the Hamilton area using their VA loan benefits to buy a property, and we'll look at 2 different paths they could take. So in scenario A, they buy a classic 3-bedroom house. The appraisal fee? A nice, predictable $625. The appraiser's job is straightforward. Check the home's condition and compare it to recent sales nearby. But in scenario B, let's say they decide to buy a duplex, live in one half and rent out the other. That appraisal fee jumps to $775. Why? Because now the appraiser has to evaluate 2 separate units and do that whole rental income analysis we just talked about. Seeing them side by side makes that price difference make perfect sense.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's really simple. Knowledge is power. When you understand these costs and timelines before you even make an offer, you can build your budget with confidence. It lets you walk into the whole process feeling prepared and in control, with way fewer stressful surprises along the way.
So there you have it. We've demystified the appraisal fee and turned it from a question mark into a solid number in your budget. But of course, that's just one piece of the closing cost puzzle, which leads to one last question. Now that you've got the appraisal covered, which closing cost are you going to figure out next?